I'm Peter Block, and this is a wrap-up of ESC Day 2 on 2009. Joining me is Chris Cannon from Barcelona. Chris, major trials once again, and another exciting day at ESC. One of the big trials, in my estimation, is the TIMI-38, the clopidogrel and the PPI issue. Can you give clopidogrel and a proton pump inhibitor together? What were the outcomes of that trial?
Well, this was an analysis that found no difference in outcomes in patients who got a PPI and those who didn't. And here we measured it as the relative benefit between prasugrel and clopidogrel in the Triton TIMI-38 trial. It was identical benefit with or without PPI, suggesting that the PPI didn't hurt the clopidogrel. This was also analyzed multiple different ways and just very solid data finding no impact whatsoever of the PPI on the clinical outcomes.
Important to note in this trial anyway, the subgroup analysis, that this is not a randomized trial, and Cogent, which is a trial that is randomized looking at this very specific question, will be presented in about 3 or 4 months. So we're looking forward to those results. Let's move on.
That'll actually be at TCT, so just a couple weeks.
That's correct. That's only exactly less than a month away. So, Chris, moving on to another issue, there is the ISAR Test 4 trial, which is a biodegradable stent trial, one of the first ones that may show some promise. Tell me about those results.
This was a large trial, 2,600 patients, that looked at a biodegradable stent as compared with either Cypher or Xience, and found that out through 12 months, cardiac death, MI, or target vessel or target lesion revascularization was essentially identical and statistically non-inferior between the biodegradable stent and the permanent polymer group. And so this, as you note, is really the first large trial, certainly one that we see here, supporting this platform that may be very promising.
So we've not seen very much about this in the past that's been positive, so this is at least a first promising look at the biodegradable stent issue. Let's go on to the PCI business. There's 2 trials in PCI that are certainly very interesting, Triana and the Nord-STEMI.
Well, here the theme is invasive is good. These were modest-sized trials, but in 2 somewhat novel populations. The Triana population looked at the very elderly, so all patients were over the age of 75, and found a strong trend towards benefit for primary PCI as compared with fibrinolysis. And so very suggestive data that this is, in fact, an optimal strategy to go for primary PCI, although it didn't prove it necessarily. And then the other trial, Nord-STEMI, was in the remote regions of Norway, looking at delayed transfer areas where primary PCI is kind of not an option. So they lysed everybody and then looked at an early invasive strategy as compared with a delayed invasive strategy of cath about 5 days later, and again found a benefit. Their primary outcome was just a trend, but the secondary outcome of death, MI, stroke was a significant benefit for the invasive strategy. And so that, combined with the recent transfer AMI study, is showing that all roads lead to the cath lab. If you can get there quickly for primary PCI, great, and if not, get there within hours following lysis, and outcomes look like they're improved.
Sounds like PCI still is a good thing to do. Thank you, Chris Cannon from Barcelona. This is an ESC Day 2 wrap-up.